The following program is being brought to you on the Seventh Wave Network. For more information about our network and to check our additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit seventhwavenetwork.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.
Welcome. It's time for expansion. It's time for vibrational attunement and channeled messages with the mothers. This is Conscious Conversations with Angela Blaha. In our program today, you will learn about new states of consciousness and seek unity within yourself. Now, here is your host, Angela Blaha.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conscious Conversations. I'm Angela Blaha, and I have an amazing guest with me today. You know him as John Burgos, the founder and host of Beyond the Ordinary Show. So, welcome to the show today, John. I'm so excited that you're here.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here. I love having these conversations. So, anytime I get an invitation, like I told you earlier, from someone whose heart I know is just open and wanting to serve other people whose intentions are just so beautiful, I have to say yes, because the creative field that we open together, it's just so much fun. It's so exciting and really serves a lot of people as well. So again, thank you for having me.
Thank you. And you're right about opening up the expansion and allowing people to be safe within the expansion. I think that that's really what our calling is for right now, is to allow that safety and security and know that they are, not alone. No one's alone here. So, okay, so today we are consciously discussing your future self and how to call in the power of your divine creativity. So, John, how would someone call in their own power?
Oh gosh, calling it. Well, we do it in so many different, subtle, small ways. But we ignore it when we're in our power because we've been taught to diminish it. We've been taught that that's not really who we are when we step into a particular energy, or that we can only hold it for so long. And it's, we can get into the whole conspiracy theories and people wanting to keep our energy down and control it. But I think it's beyond that. I think we've just gotten accustomed to keeping our vibration low, and the truth is that we're our own sovereign beings. No one can willingly take something away from us that we're not willing to give up.
Right.
So it's a question of just being aware, even with the small steps. And I know I'm sounding very practical right now, not very spiritual. We'll get to the other aspect of it a little bit, but taking those small steps, acknowledging when you're doing something, and really taking ownership of who you are as a light being, as a light worker, because the people that are listening to this show right now, you're tuned in for a particular reason. Something drew you to this information, and I can guarantee you that a big part of it is that you're looking for home. Mm-hmm. And in looking for a home, you're looking for like-minded people. You're looking for people who vibrate at that resonance that you're either at right now or that you're looking for, and you've just forgotten. You've gotten out of the habit of shining your light. So the first thing is, let's claim and let's just own it that we're all light workers.
Right.
And the second you start falling into that and you start acknowledging that, different energy fields will start showing up for you to support that.
Right. I think that power is kind of a scary word for people. And I think that we have unconsciously just walked the face of the earth for such a long time that to really step into our light being is almost a scary thing for people. And you're right about finding the like-minded people, because that creates a sense of security, of safety. But I'm going to take that one step further, and they have to be like-hearted as well.
Oh, absolutely. It's. I think that's our first gauge. I think that's the one thing that we really haven't forgotten, even though we don't trust it as much as we possibly could sometimes. But our heart, that feeling tone and how sensitive we are, if we learn to trust that more again and dare to open our hearts just a little bit more just every day, the empowerment, the acknowledgement, and I don't know why I don't want to get away from the word empowerment, but I think it's important. It's something vibrationally that's showing up on today's call, Angela. So let's redefine it. Let's not be afraid of using that word because some of us may be too sensitive for it, but let's start reintroducing it in the way that it was meant to be carried forward. It was funny. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, beautiful woman, and she started talking about her power. It's like, you know what, I'm really powerful, but I'm really gentle with it, and I carry it this other way, and you know, when something comes up, you know, I tend to be very diplomatic, and she was describing this beautiful way of being that for me is the most powerful way that you can be, with acting out of love and kindness and finding solutions that are equitable, that doesn't strip anybody away from any of their energy. And the truth was, she was making excuses, sounding like she was diminishing it. But the truth is that she was walking in divine power. She was walking in that beautiful space that is really the essence that we carry as light beings. That's the true power that's making the shift in this world right now.
Right. I would totally agree. And, you know, as a light worker, we are light workers, everyone is. But as we talk to people, you know, even trying to define ourselves, like when people ask you, what do you do? Right? You have to like almost put yourself in a box. Oh, that's just so confining for me, like to describe really what I do. And we do make excuses. Why do you think we make excuses for our power?
We're afraid to show who we really are, for one. God knows I've been, and it's every day I step out of it a little bit more with that awareness, because those words that you're talking about are so uncomfortable for me right now. You just said it. They're so uncomfortable for you. They don't really define you, and you're trying to find something, and you're trying to fit something in the box that's not really containable. So that's languaging.
Right.
Our language, our semantics are crazy because they put us into a category that tries to define something that's really undefinable. We're not definable. We're ever changing.
Right.
And to say that we have to be an A, B, or a C to make someone else feel better, it starts to hurt our energy. It starts to tell us that, hold on a second, if I can only be this to make other people happy, that means I'm taking something away from myself. And that's subconscious, but that's really one of the root causes of all of our suffering, I think.
I would totally agree. That the power of words that hold us, that keep their thumb on us, that is, to me, that is our way of the ego keeping us sort of almost in control, without a better word. And
in safety. Again, you use that word. The ego wants to keep us in what it perceives as safe. And so it's trying to serve us as best it can. But really, we need to readjust our patterns.
I agree.
And let me rephrase that. We have the opportunity to adjust our patterns. And it's up to us when you start feeling uncomfortable. And again, I'll take it to the extreme word. When you start to feel the suffering, you have the choice to consciously say, am I stepping away from my power or into it? And God, that word power keeps coming up for me. Angela, it's so important. And if you equate power with love, it's stepping into self-love, which is a big word also. Right. Self-acceptance. And choose when you feel that uncomfortableness, if that's even a word, come up, then we're making conscious decisions for our own sovereign being to show up in a different way that truly acknowledges who we are, which is this being who's in constant search for home, for love, for community.
Right. I think that that's overplayed. Don't you feel like that's overplayed? Like everybody says, oh, yeah, all you need to do is just self-love or love this or love that. But they don't really get the power of it, right?
Right.
They don't understand the true power of what love is. And that is really about going home.
It really is. And there's a depth. And I mean, and it's ever evolving. There's no way in this lifetime that you're going to step into the full expression of love that's possible in this universe.
Right.
We don't have the spacesuits for that.
Right.
But we're here on this journey for the exploration.
Yeah.
And if we can start to learn to enjoy the journey, if we can fall into it and say, you know what, this is a learning opportunity for me in every single turn to step into something that fills my heart and soul with joy. And why would I choose anything else, even though I know risk having my heart broken a million times over? That's when you start liberating yourself.
Right. And the power of the emotions that are attached to that, I think, is what keeps people from, really diving into relationships, not only with themselves, but with other people. That sense of being hurt or that perception that we have that we're being hurt. If we could just almost detach from perceptions, of what we've been trained to believe is our truth, and we really look inward for that truth and say, you know what, it's love. It's love in all sorts of form, rather than fearing and being afraid of being harmed or hurt, causing more pain and suffering.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought the emotional component of it, because emotions are spoken about quite a bit. And there's this wave now, if you will, of many people talking about feeling the emotions and stepping into it, and it's so right on, and there's a depth of it. But if we really look at the emotions that we have, we've conditioned them over millions of years of being in survival mode. Right. And the truth is, we don't have to run away from dinosaurs and protect from predators in the way that we used to anymore. Right. So the fight or flight mechanisms that were there, which are primary even when it comes to love, because it threatens our survival. If we become vulnerable, those instincts really, I think it's time to reframe those. Right. And then those take us to other layers of fear, of having our heart broken, of being rejected, of feeling like we've been abandoned. But from my experience, Angela, and again, I talk from my personal experience, I had to go through the layers of saying, you know what, I've got to feel this. Right. And I've got to go through it. And if I'm going to fall in love, I'm going to dare to go through the insecurity of what may happen. Because if I don't, I'm going to miss on an opportunity to feel something I've never felt before. If I sit on the couch and shut myself off and say, I'm not going to go there and feel that, I'm resigning to a world that says the life as I'm living it now is as good as it gets. Right. And I can't do that to myself. That is killing my soul. That is extinguishing my life forever. And I don't think anyone on this call is capable of doing that either.
Well, exactly. But, that we've sort of been trained like that. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to come back with John, and we're going to talk about some feeling tones and what does that mean, feeling tones. So we'll be right back after the break. Thank you.
The Voice America 7th Wave Channel. Be extraordinary. Be the change.
In Angela's book, Show Me How to Remember Your Power Through Self-Love and Forgiveness, you'll find an empowering book filled with messages of love and forgiveness. She gives powerful ways to use your own courage, strength, and love to heal your emotional and mental body. You can find the book at Amazon or visit Angela's website at angelablaha.com. The book is available in paperback and Kindle formats. Step back into your power. Get Angela's Show Me's at angelablaha.com. Sometimes in the busyness of daily living, we can forget who we truly are as spiritual beings, with intent and purpose fueling our goals and dreams. Remembering begins with navigating belief structures, family or cultural expectations, and history, so we can find our way. Listen in to Timeshare with host Marie Jackson. Marie and her regular contributors discuss life's questions, challenges, obstacles, and rewards, all bringing us to the spirit of who we are. Timeshare with Marie Jackson can be heard live every Thursday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific Time on 7th Wave.
Follow us on Twitter at VoiceAmericaTRN. Get the lowdown on guests, new shows, and your favorites. That's VoiceAmericaTRN. The Voice America 7th Wave Channel.
You are listening to Conscious Conversations. To connect with Angela Blaha or her guest today, please call into the program at 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. You may also send an email to angelablaha005@gmail.com. Now, back to Conscious Conversations.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with John Burgos. John, can you talk to us about feeling tones and how do we access feeling tones and to move us upward?
Oh, I love this conversation because it's really, and Angela, we all know this. Everyone that's on this call, we realize this and we forget. We get back into our routine. So we talked earlier about how our vocabulary tends to stifle us and put us in a box. And a lot of us try to use our vocabulary to create things in our lives. But what happens with that is that winds up creating maybe different versions of what we've already created because we're in the confines of something that we've already defined.
Right.
And so we keep repeating the same patterns over and over again, maybe leveled up just a little bit. And things feel better for a little while, but then they start to stagnate again, and we start feeling like there's something more in life. And if everyone listening on the call can think of a moment where their emotions really led the way, when you were creating something beautiful that really came from the heart, it was your emotions that led the way. You didn't try to put something in the box, or you felt into what you wanted or what you were yearning for. I can't even say wanted, what your heart was yearning for in the experience. And it's the emotions that led the way for the creativity to take place. And we stepped out of trying to fit it into a particular box and allowed the energy to flow and show up with synchronicity and lead us to particular situations. So if you were looking for a place to live that really filled your home, if you were looking for, as you were searching for relationships and got out of the way and a relationship showed synchronistically, we create jobs that way when we start communicating with the universe how we want the situation to feel as opposed to what we want it to look like. I want a job that makes $65,000 a year. That I only have to work 7 hours a day and have weekends off. It's going to create something for you, possibly, but it's going to confine you into a previous experience that you've had before. When you lead with the emotional tone, what do I want that job to feel like? I want it to feel like I have created expression. I want it to feel like I'm being energetically supported. I want to be around like-minded people, but you really tap into the joy, the gratitude of what that experience feels like you start creating a different way of manifesting in your life that the universe can respond to with much more clarity, much more directness, and we get out of our own way. Because when we put the words to it, of it has to be A, B, C, and D, the universe is going to give us what we're asking for. And a lot of times I think we have to be careful what we ask for because we don't realize what the repercussions are when we try to put a box in a box. And we're at a point in time where we're going from a structural form of creation where we create linearly, even when we're manifesting on a spiritual level. We're getting out of what we call Metatronic creation, again, which is very linear, very structural, into more waveform creation, where there's much more flow, there's much more energy, there's room for expansion and for allowance of co-creativity with the universe and with other people that are going to bring a greater expression of what your heart truly desires instead of what your ego is trying to control and manipulate for its own safety and for its own acknowledgement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So, the thing that I find with emotions is that people really do not have an understanding of what their definition of the emotion is. So I'm constantly teaching people, well, what does love mean to you? Don't look it up in the dictionary. What does it mean to you? Right? And I use the term blissful because I'm all about living a blissful life. If I don't have a definition for the word blissful, how could I ever live that way?
Right.
Right? But we're so afraid to put our own definition to words that we use to describe who we are or how we want to be. I find that quite funny.
And again, it's part of the way that we've grown up. It's part of the way how we've separated ourselves from those aspects that are really the prime essence of who we really are. We're bliss, we're love, we're joy, we're all of these things that we've been taught to lower the vibration of to fit into to make other people feel comfortable. Because God forbid, and this happens so much for women, I see it all the time, and it drives me freaking crazy, where women who start coming out of the box and start living in joy and bliss and are successful and are truly independent and living sovereign in the most beautiful type of way, then people turn around and tell them that they're too much.
I know.
To tone it down. That, wait, hold on a second, you're making other people feel uncomfortable, and I'm sorry, but screw that.
I totally agree.
Be too much. Be out there. You're leading the way, and you're creating the emotional tone for the life that you're going to live while you're still incarnate here. And why would you diminish that because of somebody else's opinion? They'll either adjust or you're going to find someone else that's going to be on board with you. But you, in no right, you have no right to diminish your light. You don't. And it's so upsetting to me because... And Angela, you see it too. You can see the potentiality of that guard spark within everybody. And to seeing it toned down, it's such a tragedy for me because I can see the other side of it and how beautiful it is and how expansive and what a contribution it is not only to the individual, but to the rest of us to get to experience it.
Exactly. And, women, especially women, I feel because they're more emotional based or trained to be emotional based. Like the light that we have is so big and it's very powerful. But John, we don't put emotional words to it because we have been programmed to not to do that, right? And it hurts so many women.
Yeah. But it's
really
easy to turn it around.
It is.
It's so easy to turn around. And it's so simplistic.
I know, right? We make things so hard.
We forget to do it. We just forget. So what if all it took was just being in a state of gratitude for what we have right here and right now? That's it. And just being aware and not mentally being in a state of gratitude, but really feel the gratitude in your heart for what's in front of you right at this minute. And then how we create from that, it's so beautiful and so simplistic also, Angela, because what is it that you want to create 3 years from now, 5 years from now, a year from now? And all we have to do is reverse engineer the emotion of that gratitude in, and then you're sending that signal out to the universe as, this is what I want. So imagine just sitting there, and you can sit in meditation, contemplation, you can do it while you garden, but really feel into, are you trying to bring in a new relationship in your life? You know, your special loved one. Are you trying to create that job that makes you feel good or get that healing career going? So sit in contemplation, again, while you exercise, while you walk, while you're gardening, while you sit in meditation, whatever gets you in that mode. And I don't like to put people just in a state of meditation because meditation doesn't work for some people. Right. They can't get into the flow. They start getting into judgment and all that. So see what gives you flow. See what puts you in that state where you can just go with the energy. And so don't define that for yourself. And I'm not going to define it for you. Know what works for you and start feeling into what it feels like to have the love of your life show up and him or her being there for you. How does that feel in your heart? Right. How wonderful. What are the feelings that get evoked by having someone showing up and playing with you, going and dancing with you, cooking together, going out in nature for a walk, adventure, whatever it is that excites you, and however it is that you're defining that relationship and what that dream relationship is going to bring to you and you to it. Because it's a question of receiving and giving. And when you start getting into the gratitude of it showing up right there, so project that. Go into your future self and feel that person in front of you. And let's call them a year out. What's evoking in you? And I actually want to finish this real quick because it's so good. Allow those emotions to stir up. Allow those emotions to really crest as a wave. And when you start getting to a point where you start getting so welled up with gratitude, because it's come in because you deserve to have that in your life, and you know that you're finally there. You know that you've done whatever you needed to do to bring in that quality of relationship, and feel yourself just, again, getting choked up with those tears. You've hit that point of gratitude that collapses all space and time, and you've actually brought that emotion into the present. And by bringing it into the present, you're providing the universe, you're providing source a beacon for the true essence of what it is you're looking for without having to define it, because your emotions are the ones that are going to lead the way now, not put it in a box. And what shows up is going to be better than anything your mind could have thought of.
Exactly. And I think that we forget or we take advantage of the word gratitude. It's kind of like one of those words that are like love. It's over. They get lost, right? They get lost.
If we lose them in other people's opinion of it, and the thing is, we have to get into our own interpretation of it. So let's stop getting lost in other people's words. And if you redefine your words. Think out of the box. Think of your own words. It's again, we say all these things that come out of our mouth with this vibration. But if we feel into what it is that we are trying to evoke, instead of trying to define what it is that we're saying so that we can be intellectual, so that other people respect us and understand us and allow us into their circle, when we start shifting what we want from those words and realize that they're just an expression that are really energy that other people are receiving so that they can understand where our heart and soul is conveying, then we start liberating ourselves. So when I'm on the show, and I never would have started the show, Beyond the Ordinary Show, had I thought I had to be intellectual, well-spoken, get my point across well, because I would have been scared out of my mind because there's so many great hosts out there. There's so many people doing so many great interviews and so smart. I never would have been able to keep up. But I just had to throw caution to the air and say, you know what? It's my heart that's leading the way. And what I say, make it jumbled up. I may not say it eloquently. I'll throw words that don't make sense out. But that doesn't matter to me because what I'm conveying is this energy from my heart. And if that's received, I know that we have something. And, and Angela, it's been received. It's like with your show, it's being received. It's growing and it's expanding. And it's not because we're super intelligent people, which, by the way, you are. But it's your heart that's leading the way, and that's what people are interpreting, not the words that are coming out of our mouth. Exactly.
And I want to go back for 1 second before we break. Though, you had talked about playing and being full of gratitude. I feel that play is a form of gratitude, and we don't even recognize it as being that.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Because we don't play. As adults, we hardly ever play.
Oh, Angela, that's so perfect. You need to put that up as a quote somewhere, because that's it. And I mean, I'm getting emotional just with the acknowledgement of receiving what you just said about that. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And it's okay if we've forgotten to play, but you know what we get to do?
We get to remember.
Get to practice.
Right.
We get to do it in a little bit at a time, and you don't have to dive fully in, or you can. And again, if you're one of those women that are too much, damn it, be too much. Be even more.
Exactly.
And if you don't know how to start, do a little bit at a time. Do whatever feels good. If it's going for a walk, if it's going out to buy an ice cream cone because your little girl in you wants to experience ice cream, start playing with your inner self. Start playing with the little kid inside of you. Start asking questions of your little 6-year-old and saying, hey, what do you want to do today for fun? And start evoking that. And God, the divinity that comes out of that state of play and the gratitude, like you said, Angela, it'll start shifting your world in the most profound way.
Right. Start playing with your soul self. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, and we'll be right back.
Be visionary. This is the Voice America 7th Wave Channel.
In Angela's book, Show Me How to Remember Your Power Through Self-Love and Forgiveness, you'll find an empowering book filled with messages of love and forgiveness. She gives powerful ways to use your own courage, strength, and love to heal your emotional and mental body. You can find the book at Amazon or visit Angela's website at angelablaha.com. The book is available in paperback and Kindle formats. Step back into your power. Get Angela's Show Me's at angelablaha.com.
It's time to wake up and transform into your higher self. Tune into Lighten Radio with host Jay-Z Bound. This is a show that's meant for you if you're seeking your highest and fullest potential. It's already within you. All you need to do is discover it and nurture it to reality. Jay-Z is an intuitive and health and ascension facilitator. Get ready to connect to the divine and your authentic self. Be here for Lighten Radio every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America 7th Wave Channel.
Being Here with Ariel and Shia Kane is an ordinary person's guide to modern-day enlightenment. This show is an exciting exploration which opens the door to living in the moment. Don't miss Being Here. Tune in every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern with Ariel and Shia Kane, right here on the 7th Wave Network.
This is the 7th Wave Channel on the Voice America Network.
You are listening to Conscious Conversations. To connect with Angela Blaha or her guest today, please call into the program at 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. You may also send an email to angelablaha005@gmail.com. Now, back to Conscious Conversations.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with John Burgos, and we are discussing the power of words, the power of ourself, the power of energy. So we're just diving deep into all kinds of things here today. So, John, how do we bring the energy of our powerful selves, our divine beings, into our everyday lives? I'm sure you have people who have excuses, just as I do, that, oh, my life is so busy, all I do is work, and I go home and take care of the kids and, do all these kinds of things. But how do you bring the power of your full self into everyday living?
Well, I have to say, not only do I have people that I hear from, but I do it. I get in my ruts. I get in my own cycles. And part of that is that we have to acknowledge that we do go through cycles. We all go through cycles where we're feeling opening, expanding, the energy feels amazing, we're on a high, things are going good, and then it starts to get dormant. And we don't realize if our souls, our bodies have been through such major upgrades, especially with so many of the shifts that are happening in the world and what we take on collectively. As we shift our own personal things, we shift it for the collective as well, and we have to go through a period of hibernation. And so the first thing we need to do is be really compassionate with ourselves and understand that we're going to go through these ebbs and flows and give ourselves a break. Because, God, if anybody's hard on ourselves, it's us, right? On us, it's us.
Right. Right.
So that acknowledgement it's a big awareness for all of us. I also love that you talk about conscious conversations.
Yes.
And that's the truth of what's happening, is that these conversations, I have to tell you that they're much more than conversations. They're energetic downloads. They're portals that are being opened as we co-create with our energy. Everyone who's listening on this call, and Angela and me, we're all creating a portal that's allowing a remembrance of who we are back in. And it's beautiful. So we're making the unconscious conscious. And
Exactly.
by doing that, we can no longer plead to ignorance.
Exactly.
Because ignorance is a beautiful thing, because it keeps us in a place where we feel kind of safe. Life may not be feeling so comfortable, but at least we don't feel like we're going to be killed at any minute. And I'm talking about metaphorically, because if we step out of the box and do something a little bit different, what does the edge of that cliff look like, and are we willing to dive off or not? And it's scary to dive off, not knowing if there's a safety net down there.
Right.
But I would invite everyone to look at your past, and every time that you took the leap off that cliff, did you die or did you expand? What happened? And I can almost guarantee for everyone listening that it wound up being an expansive experience, that you grew out of it, that where you are today would not have been had that not have happened. And can you find the gratitude in that? Can you find the emotional tone of the expansion that took place and use that as a tool? Use that as a vehicle to create the future expression of what you're looking to create in your life. And so it's, again, it all starts with us and the self-acknowledgement and stepping out of the darkness. And this new age movement, this consciousness awakening that we're all participating in, it's providing us an opportunity to step up to what we're looking for, to say, you know what, I'm claiming it now, and I know that I can do this, but I know that I can do this because I realize that I'm in a place where I'm not doing it alone. It may feel like I'm doing it alone sometimes, but that's just part of our shamanic journey. But the support, the community through shows like yours, Angela, and like mine. The resources that are available to us, the being able to turn on a computer and receive the motivation, or their heart connection for someone who sounds so like home, who's reminding us that there is a place for us, exists. So we're being facilitated like no other time before. And not to talk about, and we haven't even opened up that can of worms, the ability that we have to connect to our divine guidance and to our guides and to our soul tribe. Oh my God, the resources that are available there. And it's if you automatic write or sit in meditation and just ask. If you sit in front of the mirror and ask your little one, what do you think of the situation? What do you think that we can do to make this better? Or what solution do you have in mind? Or how does it feel to you? All this guidance from all of these different dimensions that we have available to us is just absolutely extraordinary. And it's not that we have to connect with someone who's a psychic or a channel, even though they're fantastic teachers and can exponentially facilitate the journey for many of us. It's not necessary because we each carry that ability within our own matrix. And all you have to do is have the willingness to have intimate relationship with yourself, to open up those channels, and the information that you're looking for, the connections that you're looking for, will all show up in ways that you couldn't have imagined, in ways that couldn't have been contrived. But you're being led first by your higher self, which is you. And let's acknowledge that, because we tend to give a lot of power to our higher self, but we don't acknowledge that it's really us who's doing the driving. So the higher self is just there to remind you, hey, this is you actually doing it, and I'm going to give you a little inspiration, but always take it back to the realization that it's you now, the person who's listening to the show, who's doing the driving the whole time, who's choosing to connect at these various levels, who's choosing to receive the information and the opportunities, and then you have all this other assistance that's going to help you fully take advantage of it as much as you're willing to open your heart to receive it.
Exactly. And I think that that's one of the simple things that we forget to do, is just to ask for what we want, right? Ask for the remembrance to come in. Ask for the consciousness. Ask for your own vibration to raise to who you came here to be and why you came here to be.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, we don't know why we ask anymore. We've gotten so out of the habit of asking that we don't know to ask. I don't know what it's like. I want my life to be better, but I don't know what to ask for. And then we ask with such vague terms and vague, vague undertones that don't really know how to respond. So again, it's getting into that. I like talking about self-intimacy. We always, all of us are looking for intimacy with others. We're all looking for that divine expression of love to show up in our lives. And we forget to do that with ourselves. We forget to have that intimacy of ourselves. We forget to know ourselves so well that we know how to respond to our own needs.
Well, exactly. Like, we have searched outside of ourselves for everything that we've ever, over eons. And the mothers are always saying, just tell them to go within. Just go within. That's where everything resides, right? That's where all the wisdom is. It's within us.
It's within, and like I said earlier, we have to dare to have those emotions come up when we go within. And is it scary? It can be a little intimidating, or a lot. But what's on the other side of that is an expression of self-awareness that has transcended the limitations of those superficial layers of emotion, because for the most part, and I don't want to generalize because there's some deep-rooted emotions that a lot of you guys are going through. There's some trauma that has been experienced. There's really things that have gone on in your life that were truly travesties. And I'm so sorry for each and every one of you who had to go through those experiences. But you're here now. You're here now. And what you've been through as a being incarnate has not been easy for many of you. But you've made it through, and I can guarantee you that for most of you, you're not going to put yourself in a situation to repeat that again, because you feel what that does to your light. You feel that that's not something that is going to augment what you're here to do in this lifetime. You've experienced it, you're done with it, you're aware of it, and the energies are such that, like Angela talked about earlier, it hurts to be in those situations energetically again. It hurts to have words come up that would create a situation like that over and over again. So, again, you've stepped out of the ignorance of self, and they're stepping into the enlightenment of the love that you are. And with that awareness alone, I guarantee you that you're eventually going to choose love over and over and over and over again, because the other vibrations just hurt too much. Mm-hmm. And you, again, we're getting into this empowered, and you're empowered with this information and the emotional tones of this information to make the choices that are going to facilitate you stepping more into the light rather than having you step backwards into the darkness.
Right. I totally agree. And it's time. I mean, we have no other options but to stand in our power, fully in our power. So we're going to take a little bit of a break again, and we'll be right back with John Burgos.
The Voice America 7th Wave Channel. Seek greater awareness.
In Angela's book, Show Me How to Remember Your Power Through Self-Love and Forgiveness, you'll find an empowering book filled with messages of love and forgiveness. She gives powerful ways to use your own courage, strength, and love to heal your emotional and mental body. You can find the book at Amazon or visit Angela's website at angelablaha.com. The book is available in paperback and Kindle formats. Step back into your power. Get Angela's Show Me's at angelablaha.com. Sit back, relax, breathe. Reconnect to the still small voice within. Take the time to make a weekly visit to the Sounds of the Heart with host Sandy Goldstone. This unique program will help you cultivate and strengthen your heart's connection and feel love, beauty, and joy. You don't need to fear or suffer. Heed the call. Say yes to living from the heart's truth. Tune in live every Tuesday at 5 p.m. U.S. Pacific Time on the Voice America 7th Wave Channel. Join the evolving consciousness of humanity.
This is the Voice America 7th Wave Channel.
You are listening to Conscious Conversations. To connect with Angela Blaha or her guest today, please call into the program at 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. You may also send an email to angelablaha005@gmail.com. Now, back to Conscious Conversations.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm here with John Burgos, and we have dived into some good stuff today, John.
It's always good stuff when we talk about opening our heart and being in love, right?
Exactly. So, John, what do you have that listeners can really grab into, take home with them today with talking about, all of our feelings and the power of who we are and connecting with our divine self, like, do you have any guide for them that sort of can bring it down into reality, into this 3D dimension?
Well, yeah, bringing it into the 3D, I think what we reviewed earlier as far as tapping into your future self and feeling the emotional tone of gratitude. I don't know how much more grounded that you can be when you bring your emotions into your body in that way. And there's also an acknowledgement that needs to be taking place of how we're advancing individually, and so many of us who've been working on ourselves, who've been going through the emotion, healing the emotional components of our past, who have been stepping into a new vibration of what we're willing to receive into our lives. We've tended to live really in a spacey realm. We've outside of our body.
Right.
And it's what's happening energetically is that we're being called back into our bodies. And this is part of the empowerment that's going on. We've created a safe haven. And it's been shifting probably for the last year now for a lot of people. And I know many of you guys have been feeling it. But we're really bringing heaven back down to earth. And if you look at your body as that sacred temple of earth, and we've been living in those other realms, gathering information, working on ourselves, really energetically recalibrating our energy, and downloading this beautiful resonance from this 5D, 6D, up to 9D reality. And I only use those as labels so that you can feel into what the energies are. But even if we eliminate those labels and get out of our head and just feel into what we've been bringing in, there's a safety within your own body, within your own incarnate being, that's ready to be in receiving mode. Our bodies have served us for so long, so well, and they said, you know what? Go do your work. Go reclaim the energy that's ours. Because in this lifetime, it's time that we bring it back. Not only for ourselves, but for the future of humanity. And so we need to be aware that we're being called back in our own temple to earth. Consider your body earth, and to ground in that information, that knowing. You guys know stuff that you know, but you don't know why you know it. And it's just who you are. It's the divinity of who you are. And every one of you on the other line, if you're not chuckling at that, you should, because you know it with all of your heart. I don't know why I know what I know, but I know that I know it.
Right.
And so bring that back into your body, into your awareness. You don't have to know, but you can trust it. Feel into the truth of that love that you're bringing back in. And allow your body to receive it, because it has served you for so long, and it's time that it gets the recognition that it deserves. It's time that your body gets the love that it deserves. And bring the energy back into you. Allow your body to receive it. Ground it up from your feet up into your heart. Ground in the energy from your highest chakras, from the multidimensionals that you've been traveling in for so many years, whether you're consciously or unconsciously doing it, or subconsciously doing it. And bring that back into your heart and allow all that to expand within you, and take ownership of the power of the love that you carry within you, always. Because that has always been your intention. So the feelings of being right or being wrong or being judged or it's got to be left or right and all that, none of that mattered, because if you really tap into what your intention was all along, at its root, it's always been love. And if you lead with that intention and that awareness of who you truly are, which is that love energy, I tell you, you've never been wrong for 1 second in your life.
Right, and it's all about bringing remembering, right, that we are love and that we are just these beings of love. And we need to bring that wisdom here to earth so that we don't have to live in that sort of separation, illusion kind of energy.
Well, and the judgment has taken us to a place where we feel like we've done something to wrong other people, where we're where it's just, but again, Angela, if we tap into that intention of the love that we've always wanted to express, even though we may have been confused how to express it, if we can forgive ourselves and give ourselves a little compassion for our expression of it and just fall into love was what we were always trying to display, to show, then we can really set ourselves free from the constructs that have kept us from that message. And we can allow the energy of what we're carrying to be the leader instead of the words and some of the actions that were really culturally constructed for us and we've been following. But that we're at a point now that we're deconstructing. We're taking it out of that Metatronic field and putting it into the waveform, which is where love exists. And that expands in a way like nothing else can.
Yes, and I'm so excited to be alive right now because of those things. John, I want to thank you so much for being on our show today. I know Beyond the Ordinary show is on tonight, so if any listeners are out there, tune in to John's show and support him just as you support me. So thank you again, John, for being on. And until next week, have an amazing week, everyone. And please let us know your response to today's show. It is greatly appreciated. So all my love to all my love to each and every one of you. And to you, John. Thanks.
And to you as well. Love you guys. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you for tuning into this week's edition of Conscious Conversations. Be sure to join Angela Blaha for another edition next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America 7th Wave channel. Until our next meeting, have an extraordinary week.